Chauncey's a natural level 4. Again, we use luminous cream lightener just to lighten out, and I'm staying off the base. There's no reason for me to go in and lighten this out if we're going to darken it. So even in the lightening process, instead of, if you think of what our color brushes do, they will paint a perfect line. So a lot of what I'm doing is taking it on a side stroke so that the color, even the lightener, starts to melt. So as I go in to paint the color over the top of it, I don't have hard lines of demarcation from what our brushes do. I really want to be able to have that melt or fuse together. So her base tone, my favorite color is 1B, which they didn't even make it up there, because it covers everything. It's black. It's beautiful. Color correction, it's flawless. Oh, you guys are so heavy right now. You guys are obviously ready for lunch, huh? 1B, Chris, it's not very funny. It's hilarious. Lighten up. So the blue is 1B. So then we're working with the darkest blue is primary concentrate on its own, the blue, and that's the darkest blue that you see in the hair. So everything on the underneath is that blue-black. Then we go into the darker blue, and then we're going into a turquoise blue. And how we're making that is the blue, a half ounce of clear, and a 1/4 ounce of the yellow. So that's going to give you just a little bit more of an intense hue, more towards the turquoise side because we have just a little bit of that yellow in it. And then we're working into the yellow-green, which you can see right here in the fringe. And how we're creating that is working with a 1/2 ounce of the primary yellow concentrate, a 1/4 ounce of the blue in 10 volume. And all of these to me, is really about depositing because we've already lifted everything up to where we wanted to lift it up to. So it's really just hueing the tone in the hair. Do you remember on TVs? I know this is really going to date me. Do you remember on TVs when you could change the hue? See, now I'm really dating myself. And it's really about that. So it's like cranking up the hue on what we're doing so that in the shine line and where we've pre-lightened, it's really going to give it that impact and that hyper shine line of what we're doing. So let's talk the last couple formulas here. So the green is a 1/2 ounce of the primary yellow, a 1/4 ounce of the blue. The reason we're using a lot more of the yellow is if you think about your blue pigment, it's the heaviest pigment, it's the darkest pigment, so it's going to carry a lot more weight as far as what it's going to contribute. So working with that, we wanted to just work with a 1/2 ounce and a 1/4 ounce, and then again the 10 volume. And then the last one is the red, and this is where, again, now the idea we're working with the primary concentrate red, but I wanted this not to be just super, super intense. What I wanted is to ground it and bring it down almost a little bit more muted. So I'm working with 6R, and we're working in full. So this is the demi-permanent, and I'm mixing that with the primary red concentrate, and again, 10 volume, just to make that still high fashion, but I want it to be longevity and a little bit more muted. So that's the difference you can see between obviously what you're going to see on Megan's hair with the strong primary reds and something that's a little bit more muted. So that's the end result with Chauncey. What do you guys think? Does that work? Beautiful. Thank you, love. You got a fan club out here, Chauncey. Mm-hmm. You can't do that. I can't work when you do that. So when you guys go home, I want to challenge you to this. I want you guys to get some magazines. I want you to get some magazines that are a little bit different than the norm. And I want you to test this. I want you to just set it out in front of the salon and put it in a waiting area, obviously where clients can get to it. And don't say anything. What do you think is going to happen? Anybody, take a stab at it. They're going to look at it and they're going to start asking, what is this? Why do you have this out here? This is a point of difference that I haven't really seen. And I think that what that does is it starts to create them wanting to have the conversation. And I want the clients to bring in stuff. I want them to have the conversation. But the other thing is I want to paint the picture for them with visuals that we want to be doing. And I don't think that a lot of times when we have magazines, if magazines are 6 months old, they shouldn't even be sitting out there as far as I'm concerned, because that is dated work and it's going to just give us going back and repeating what we've done. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I feel like we're artists, first and foremost. I didn't get into this industry to repeat the same thing over and over and over. How do you guys feel about that? Yeah? It drives me nuts when a client comes in and goes, do it just like last time. And then we lie and go, okay. I've never understood that because it's not like last time. Can we ever cut the exact same haircut twice? Honestly. I mean, and how about color? I mean, yes, you can use the same formula, but is it the exact same color? No, because you have what you've already put on contributing to it. So I think instead of lying to them, what we need to do is go, you know what? I want to absolutely build from what we did, but I also want to move you forward. Because as we start to progress in that, and as they start to hear that, they're going to think that every time we come in, that we can start to add a little bit to it. That starts to fuel our fire to be creative, and it's also going to give us that energy with our clients for them bringing it to the table and making us step up to the plate. but we've got to create the environment. We've got to build the framework for what we do so that we can paint the picture with them. And building that framework is getting them the visuals, painting the picture as far as, you know, understanding why we want to be able to do what we do, and letting them know we're capable of doing it. I think it's so funny when a new client comes in, you almost have to like give them your resume. No, really, it's going to be fine. I know more than one haircut. I know more than one color. Because they don't know. And usually when they're there, the reason they're there is because they've had a bad experience previous. Would you agree? They wouldn't be there in your chair if they didn't have a bad experience. They would still be there. So it's important that, you know, we can paint that picture for them and we can let them know that, yes, we're capable of doing this, and I know more than one haircut. Because I love when they come in and they're like, oh my God, do it just like last time. I've never had a haircut like that. It doesn't have to be just like last time. We can build on that. And we've got to be able to influence this and start to really get that energy going. Hi. Oh, little Megan. Let's go to the PowerPoint. I got to tell you a story about Megan. This cute little thing, if you guys can even imagine, is 17 years old. Yes, I could be her father. Well, I'm 37, so I started doing the math, and as I started traveling with her, I'm like, no, I don't want to be your dad. This is why I don't have kids, right? And especially a girl, because she's beautiful, and I would really get in a lot of hot water, because I'm sure that there's lots of boys that love her, and I wouldn't be cool with that at all. So that's why I don't have kids. Megan, thank you for that. And whenever I want to think about having kids, I'll have you on the road with me, so I won't need to worry about it. Her mom had a little come to Jesus with me as I started taking her on the road. She's like, Chris, now I want to understand what goes on. Here's the question she asked. You guys will love this. Is there drinking at these hair shows? I can't lie. I'm not a liar. And I'm a horrible liar when I do. It's like looking through stained glass window. You're like, mm-hmm. So I said, well, I'm not going to tell you that they don't drink. And I'm not going to tell you that people don't get out of control, because I'm probably one that does. But no, she just didn't know. So I was like, you know, you probably should just come and see one of these things. So we're actually going to do something in Salt Lake, and she's going to come and see it and probably never let her travel with me again. No, it's been good. We just had her in New York. How many of you guys went to the event in New York, the Logix event? A few of you here, right? Yeah. Yeah. What'd you guys think of that? Still have a job, so that's a good thing. It must have turned out all right. Well, we painted one of these girls live. We painted actually Megan live. And they were like, Chris, it's not going to get that messy. And I went. So, you know, I'm in the back doing it all calm, cool, and collected. And they're like, oh, it'll be fine. You're not going to have to worry about it. Can I have some more water? I was so thirsty. I drank it all. We'll move these down. Man, you could really stuck these on here, Pat. Not going anywhere. He's like, put double stick tape on it. You know, I mean, when you're working with models, the only thing I know double stick tape for is, well, that's a whole different process. Hey, well, I didn't say I was doing it. I just said I know what it's for. All right, so our first pattern here, we're going to start with our darkest red. We're going to go into an orange. So we're going to take a drop of the yellow, a drop of the red. We're going to go to, again, the dark red. So the dark red is going to be framing all of these tones. And if you think about, as you look at these patterns of what we're doing, what we're really capturing is really making sure that this is the one that stands out. The next one's the one that stands out, and so forth. So the red is really capturing what's going on. Now, obviously, we have a very heavy influence of red, but you can see a lot of the copper. Now, don't be misconstrued, because when you line up a red next to a copper, a red next to a true red, a red next to a yellow, which is coming next, it's really important that you, as an idea of the end result, realize that this isn't going to be just a true red. You're going to have a lot more of that copper influence because of what you're adding with that yellow. The yellow is a really intense yellow. It went from like an additive idea to something that is way, way intense, which I love, because, you know, I would rather have the control for me to be able to decide what I want to do with it than having someone else try and control it from afar. In other words, them mixing it in the labs, wherever that lab is. Mystery, right? Wondering where those labs are. Do you guys ever wonder where that stuff comes from and who's mixing that? I've seen those labs. It's pretty interesting. Not really the most progressive people. And they all have those little lab coats. They even made us put on hairnets and stuff. What is this? Can you imagine us with hairnets on? It'd be hot. You guys are screwing me up here. Now stop. Don't play along with me. Just let me do my work. See, this is what happened. Cute girl in chemistry, not watching, mixing, and blow up the chemistry lab. All right. See, I've learned. See, this is how you learn. Trial and error. So we're going to go back to our dark red, which is probably going to look a little more purple with that blue in there. And we're going to go to the blue. And we're going to go back to the dark red. So you can see that as we work, dark, 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 dark. The copper, the true red, the yellow, the true red, the blue. So it's framed by everything and what's going on. Let's talk tone. Hi, you cute thing. Step right up here. So if we can go back to that PowerPoint real quick, I just want to talk to you guys about the different tones. And look at the way that energy just moves through that color. So again, really capturing the reds, the yellows, and the coppers. But everything at the new growth has been base shaded, and we're working with a 2RV. So really, really want to capture something dark, same tone as what's on the underneath. So again, creating that hyper shine line in here to really make that point of difference for the color, popping that color. So let's go to your formulas. So she's a natural level 5, where we started with, and she came into me with a lot of heavy highlights. So we didn't have to do a lot of lightening out to get to that really, really level 8, I would say, to be able to get these tones to be imparted into the hair. So the first one, the dark red that you see really capturing a lot of this, we're working with primary red concentrate in 6R full. And again, that's just to keep that a little bit more grounded. Then we're working with primary concentrate red on its own in 10 volume. The intense copper is primary yellow and primary red. The yellow is 1 ounce and the red is 1/4 ounce. And then we're working with the yellow straight, which is just 10 volume and primary yellow concentrate. And then we're working with this beautiful blue that, again, next to those tones, I just wanted to capture something that just doesn't belong, but harmoniously it rolls together and really captures that beautiful palette working across. So we're working with the blue and 10 volume and just a little bit of clear to make that not so deep and so dark. So I'm going to turn you. So again, starting on everything and above the occipital, we're working with 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 foils in the back. We start that same pattern through the side. So everything from there. And as I would do this, so I would do all the dark, I would place foil right over the top of this. I would take my first slice. Now, here's the funny part about this is, which color do you do first? Do you do the base shade or do you do the red? Anybody? I'm going to do the red. I'm going to do the lightest first, and here's why I would say this. If I go in and I start dragging at the base, what I don't want to happen is it becoming too far down, and then it starts to mute out what's happening here. The other thing is the darkest tone is going to capture what's happening here. So when we think of the idea of fusing colors, when working with 2 colors, you're really creating a 3rd color where these 2 melt together. So I would put in the foil, I would paint my red, I would go back, take my brush, I would paint it right at the scalp, and I would just side brush these 2 together so that really what you're creating is 3 tones inside of 1 strand. So the darkest, the red, and where the 2 come together is it's going to fuse that other tone. And again, 2 patterns across the top, 1 pattern across the back, and that's the end result. What do you guys think? Does that work for her? Thank you, love. Can we get this out of here before I blow something up?
Speaking about branding.
Here we go.
Put my work hat on.
Here we go. Get your work hat on. Love it.
What's this called, Chris?
It's a line called Toxic Tribal that we started working with, and it's actually my lovely little tattoo that, unfortunately, you know, we have a few of those.
You want to go first?
But no, it was kind of strange how it started. But I'm gonna talk a little bit more about that. Was these guys get that off? Thank you. How about a big round of applause for all of our help today, by the way. It's always good when you can see Patrick doing like the assisting, because you know that doesn't happen in the salon, does it, Patrick? Oh, does it? Does it? Oh man, I got to give you a lot of credit there, Patrick. So turn up some music. Let's these models just take a little walk, and we're gonna get them off, and then we're gonna talk about some branding.